This is Vijayalakshmi, lecturer in physics in Chambers Degree College, Malakal. Students, for the semester 5 in BSc, for the subject physics, we have two papers. One is 5A and another one is 5B. 5A paper is titled as Electricity, Magnetism and Electronics, and 5B paper is titled as Modern Physics. I would like to teach about this 5A paper, Electricity, Magnetism and Electronics. In this paper, it contains 5 units. First 2 units contains 2 chapters and the last 2 units contains single chapters. First, we go for the chapter titles. In first unit, first chapter is Electric Field Intensity and Potentials. Second chapter is Dielectrics. In second unit, the first chapter is Electric and Magnetic Fields. Second chapter is Electromagnetic Induction. Electromagnetic induction. In third unit, the first chapter is Alternating Currents. Second chapter is Maxwell's Equations and Electromagnetic Waves. In fourth unit, the chapter title is Basic Electronics. In fifth unit, the chapter title is Digital Electronics. These are the chapter titles we have. In this, I would like to start the first unit, first chapter, Electric Field Intensity and Potentials. Students, we have some previous knowledge about this chapter in our lower classes. So, before going to our actual syllabus, we just recollect very few definitions in this chapter like Coulomb's law, electric field, electric field intensity, electric flux, electric lines of force, electric potential, okay, first I go for Coulomb's law. This Coulomb's law is applicable for two stationary point charges when they are separated by a fixed distance. Here we know two like charges means two positive charges or two negative charges. There is always a repulsion. While in case of two unlike charges, it means positive charge and negative charge or negative charge and positive charge, there is an attraction. Okay, there is always an repulsion between two like charges and always an attraction between two unlike charges. Hence, this repulsive nature and attractive nature is nothing but force. Hence, this force is said to be electric force. This electric force is repulsive in case of like charges and attractive in case of unlike charges. Hence, Coulomb concluded two statements for this repulsive force and attractive force as: first one, the force of attraction or repulsion between two electric charges is directly proportional to product of the two charges. And second one, the force of attraction or repulsion between two electric charges is inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Hence, Coulomb's law is stated as the force of attraction or repulsion between two stationary point charges. Two stationary point charges is directly proportional to product of the two charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. This Coulomb's law is stated as the force of attraction or repulsion between two stationary point charges is directly proportional to the product of the two charges and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. Here, consider two electric charges . One is Q1 and another charge Q2. They are separated by a fixed distance which is treated as R. According to Coulomb's statement, the force acting between these two charges is directly proportional to the product of the two charges. Then Coulomb's write F directly proportional to Q1 Q2. It means when the product of the two charges increases, the force acting on the two charges increases. If the value of Q1 Q2 increases, then automatically F increases. And also F inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Then F inversely proportional to R square, it means the distance decreases, force increases, or distance increases, force decreases. Hence, finally, he write F directly proportional to Q1 Q2 by R square. Here, this proportionality is replaced by a constant then that constant is said to be Coulomb's constant. Then he can write F is equal to some K into Q1 Q2 by R square. Here this constant K is identically equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. Here this value can substitute, then F equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q1 Q2 by R square. This is the Coulomb's law. Here epsilon naught is the permittivity of the free space. This value 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is identically equal to 9 into 10 to the power of 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. This value can use in our problem solving. Okay, we recollect the definition for Coulomb's law. Then we go next definition, which is electric field. The electric field is stated as the region surrounding an electric charge or group of charges in which another charge experiences a force on it is said to be electric field. The region surrounding an electric charge or group of charges in which another charge experiences a force, then it is said to be electric field. For understanding this, we consider a charge. Treated as Q1, placed here, then it experiences its force in space itself. It means here this charge Q1 experiences its own force in space itself. Then we bring another charge Q2 nearer to this Q1. This Q2 also experiences the same amount of force by this Q1. Due to impact of this Q1, Q2 also experiences the same amount of force by this Q1. In the similar manner, if we treat Q2 is fixed here, then it experiences its own force in space itself. If we bring Q1 nearer to this Q2, then the same amount of force by this Q2 acting by this Q1. Hence, the electric field is said to be the region surrounding a charge or group of charges which experiences by another charge to the same amount of force. Then it is simply said to be electric field. Then we go for the next definition, electric field intensity. The electric field intensity is defined as the force experienced by a unit positive charge placed in an electric field is said to be electric field intensity. The force experienced by a unit positive charge placed in an electric field is said to be electric field intensity. If we consider a test charge Q0 placed in the electric field, we think this as electric field. In this electric field, we treat this positive test charge Q0. Then this Q0 experiences by this electric field some force. Then the force experienced by this unit of positive test charge when it is placed in electric field is said to be electric field intensity. The electric field intensity is indicating with a letter E. Then we can write E equal to which amount of force is experienced by this test charge is nothing but Q0. Then E equal to F by Q0. The units for electric field intensity is treated as, here the units per force in SI system is nothing but Newton, and this charge as Coulomb. Then we can write E equal to F by Newton units by Coulomb. Newton per Coulomb is the units for electric field intensity. Okay, I hope you are following the definition for electric field intensity. Then we go for the next definition, which is electric lines of force. This electric lines of force is an imaginary smooth curve drawn in an electric field when a unit positive test charge followed. The path followed by this unit positive test charge is said to be electric lines of force. Okay, this is actually an imaginary concept. So we consider a unit positive test charge. Here this unit positive test charge is placed in an electric field. Then the path followed by this unit positive charge in this electric field is said to be electric lines of force. Here we consider the electric lines of force for positive charge is, this is positive charge, this is placed in an electric field. Then the electric lines of force are starting from this positive charge and moving towards infinity in straight way. In this manner, they are starting from this positive charge. The electric lines of force are starting from this positive charge and moving towards infinity along a straight way. While in case of a negative charge, the electric lines of force are also straight way, but they are moving away. Here, the electric lines of force are moving away from this positive charge. In case of negative charge, the electric lines of force are moving towards this negative charge. They are moving towards this negative charge in this manner. From infinity to this negative charge, they are starting and moving towards this negative charge. Okay, I hope you follow for the positive charge, the electric lines of force, and negative charge, the electric lines of force. If we, in case both the positive charge and negative charge are simultaneously present, then the electric lines of force are starting from positive charge and ending towards this negative charge. In this manner, they are starting from this positive charge and ending towards this negative charge. From positive charge, the electric lines of force are moving away from in this manner, and negative charge, and they are moving towards. While in case of both positive and negative charges. The electric lines of force are starting from this positive charge and ending towards this negative charge. While in case of two like charges, we consider two positive charges here. The electric lines of force are moving away from this positive charge but the line joining the two positive charges here, the positive charged electric lines of force by Q1 and another charge Q2, which are equal and opposite. The electric lines of force for both like charges, these are equal and opposite. Okay, I hope you are following these electric lines of force. Here, no electric lines of force never intersect each other. They are never intersect each other. We draw a tangent to any electric lines of force, which gives the direction of the electric field. If we draw a tangent to these electric lines of force at any point, which gives the direction of the field. Okay, this is about electric lines of force. Then we go for the next definition, which is electric flux. Here we consider electric field. In this electric field, we treat a small unit closed area treated as ds. Then the number of electric lines passing through this unit cross-sectional area normally is said to be electric flux. The total number of lines passing through this unit cross-sectional area normally is said to be electric flux. Here the electric flux is indicating with the letter phi e. Mathematically it can be expressed as, we take this area as closed, hence we can write closed integral E dot ds. This is the electric field and we named this area as ds. Then closed integral E dot ds, nothing but E dot ds cos theta. Here theta is the angle between E and ds. Then we can write closed integral E dot ds cos theta. Here the electric lines of force are normal to this unit area. Then the angle between these two is nothing but 0. Then we can write this value as 1. Okay, here this E is constant, then we can write it before the integration. Therefore phi is equivalent to E closed integral ds. This closed integral ds is considered as area of this surface. Then we can write this value as E dot A. Therefore phi E is equivalent to nothing but EA. The total electric flux through this area is nothing but phi is equal to E dot A. The electric flux is said to be the total number of lines passing through this unit cross-sectional area normally is said to be electric flux. We go for the next definition, that is electric potential. Here the electric potential indicates the state of a charge on a body. The electric potential indicates the state of a charge on a body. The charge flows from high potential to low potential. High potential to low potential, like water flows from high level to lower level. In the similar manner, the charge flows from high potential to lower potential through a conductor. For understanding the electric potential definition, we consider a positive charge. Placed here, this is treated as source charge Q1. Then it experiences its own electric field in the region itself. If we bring another positive test charge Q naught nearer to this source charge, here this is positive source charge and this one is positive test charge Q naught. So both are similar charges, then it experiences a repulsive force in this direction. Here we consider 2 points in this state A, B in this path. Then by the external support, if we bring this positive test charge Q naught from this point B to point A against to field, some work has to be done. This work done must be treated as the potential difference. To bring a positive test charge from point B to point A against the field is simply said to be electric potential difference between these 2 points A and B. Then we can write the potential difference between these points as VA difference VB is equivalent to work done by this charge Q naught. To bring this positive test charge Q naught from this point B to point A against a field, some work has to be done. This work done must be treated as the potential difference for bring this positive charge from point B to point A as VA difference VB is equal to W by Q naught. If we consider the point B is at infinity, then the potential difference for this VB is treated as 0. Therefore, VA is equal to W by Q naught. Hence, the potential difference is said to be the work done to bring a unit positive test charge from infinite position to at that particular point against to field is said to be electric potential difference between these 2 points. The units for potential difference is 1 volt. Here, to bring 1 unit positive test charge, the work done is 1 joule from infinite position to at that particular point. The positive test charge is 1 coulomb. Then the units for electric potential difference is nothing but 1 volt equal to 1 joule per coulomb. Okay, we recollect the definition for Coulomb's law, electric field, intensity of electric field, and electric lines of force, electric flux, and electric potential difference or electric potential. So, our chapter title is electric field intensity and potentials. Then we recollect the topics. Then we go for our actual syllabus, which is Gauss law. It is very important to our semester examinations. So, let us start Gauss law. The Gauss law is stated as the total normal electric flux through any closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within that closed surface. The Gauss law is stated as the total normal electric flux through any closed surface is equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within that closed surface. Here, this Gauss law is only applicable for closed surfaces. The total flux, here we already discussed about electric flux. It is indicating with the letter phi E. Then phi E is equivalent to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed. If we take a closed surface, then the total flux in this closed surface equivalent to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed within the closed surface is simply said to be the statement for Gauss law. The mathematical expression for Gauss law is phi is equivalent to the surface must be closed, then we can write integration as closed symbol, closed integral E dot ds, closed integral E ds cos theta, which is identically equal to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed. Hence, we write 1 by epsilon naught times the charge. This is the mathematical expression for Gauss law. Phi equal to closed integral E dot ds, nothing but closed integral E ds cos theta is equivalent to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge q. Okay, this Gauss law can be explained in two cases. Case 1, when the charge is inside the surface, and case 2, when the charge is outside the surface. Case 1, first let us discuss about case 1. When the charge is within the surface, for explaining this case, we consider a closed surface. Here, the surface must be closed, but its shape is irregular. So, we consider S as closed surface, and our topic is when the charge is within the surface. Consider a positive test charge Q at point O situated inside this surface, and we take a point P on the surface of this. Then the distance between this positive charge and point P is R. Let us take a closed surface, and here at point O the charge is situated, and we take a point B on this surface which is at a distance smaller from this point charge O. Okay, now we consider a small part of this surface as ds. This ds makes a solid angle d omega at O. Here d omega is the solid angle subtended by ds at O. Here the electric field is radially outward direction. Now we draw a normal through this area, elemental area, as ds cap. This ds cap gives the direction of normal. Okay, this ds cap makes an angle theta with this electric field. Here we consider a normal to this small elemental area which gives the direction of normal, and it makes an angle theta with this electric field. So our assumptions are completed. Now we calculate the electric flux for this entire surface S. For this we consider a small part of the surface elemental area as ds. So for this small area the electric flux is nothing but d phi E is equivalent to E dot ds. We know about electric flux, so we directly write the electric flux for this small elemental area as E dot ds, nothing but the dot product here E ds cos theta. Then the flux for this small area ds becomes d phi E is equivalent to E dot ds cos theta. Here theta is the angle between this ES and E and ds. Okay, for calculating here electric field we applying Coulomb's law. We already discussed about Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law is applicable for two stationary point charges when they are separated by a fixed distance. Hence we consider this point charge and point P, they are separated by a distance r, and field is radially outward direction. then the electric field becomes E equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. We consider this d phi A as equation 1 and this as equation 2. By substituting equation 2 in equation 1, then we have d phi E is equivalent to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught into ds cos theta by r square. Here this ds cos theta by r square is the solid angle subtended by ds at O. Hence we take it this value as d omega. This value as d omega equal to ds cos theta by r square. By substituting this d omega value in above equation, therefore the flux for the small area ds becomes d phi E equal to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught into d omega. Here we calculating the electric flux for this small elemental area. So for calculating the electric flux for the entire surface, yes, we integrate the above equation, then it becomes phi E is equivalent to closed integral Q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. Here this Q by 4 pi epsilon naught term is constant, then we can write it before the integration. Therefore phi E is equivalent to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught closed integral d omega. Here this closed integral d omega is the solid angle subtended by ds for the whole surface at O. Hence this value is identically equal to 4 pi, which is mathematically proved. Hence we take it closed integral d omega value as 4 pi. Then we substitute this value in this equation. Therefore phi E is equivalent to Q by 4 pi epsilon naught into 4 pi. By cancelling this 4 pi and 4 pi, then we get phi E is equivalent to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed within that closed surface. So our statement, the total normal electric flux through any closed surface must be equivalent to 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed within that closed surface is proved. This is case 1. So case 2 can be explained when the charge is outside the surface. So for this we also considering closed surface. The closed surface irregular any shape, so when the charge is outside the surface, for this case we consider surface as closed in this manner. Here the charge is outside this closed surface, then we consider at point O charge Q is situated from outside the surface. Then we draw a conical shape projection with solid angle d omega from this point charge to this surface. Here d omega is the solid angle from this point charge Q to this surface, and which cuts the surface at 4 parts like this. Here the first part treated as ds1, here the cone area as ds1 p, ds2 q, ds3 r, ds4 s. Here the flux entering to ds1 and ds3 which are in inward direction, and flux leaving the surface through areas ds2 and ds4 are outward direction. We know flux entering inward direction is taken as negative and flux leaving outward direction is taken as positive. Hence we can write the electric flux for the 4 areas ds1 and ds2 and ds3 and ds4 as follows. The electric flux at ds1 is minus q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. Here the flux which is entering inward to this area ds1 at point P inward, hence we put negative symbol, and for the area ds2 the electric flux is q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. Here this ds2 area the flux leaving outward direction, hence we put positive sign. The electric flux at ds3 which is at R point, the flux is in inward direction, then we put negative sign minus q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. And the electric flux at ds4 area at point S as positive, because the flux leaving outward direction, we write q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. So the total electric flux through this entire area is getting by adding these areas ds1 and ds2 and ds3 ds4 flux. Therefore overall flux for this surface is nothing but phi is equivalent to flux for area ds1 plus ds2 plus ds3 plus ds4. So we calculate the flux for ds1 area as minus q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega, for the area ds2 as q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. For the area ds3 the electric flux is minus q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega, and for the area ds4 the flux is plus q by 4 pi epsilon naught d omega. So 2 are positive and 2 are negative, then totally cancel all the flux values. Therefore phi is equivalent to 0. Here the total flux for this entire surface is nothing but identically equal to 0. So whenever we take the point charge outside the closed surface, then the total electric flux for the entire surface is equivalent to 0. From this we observing the above reasoning is true for all cones which are drawing from outside the surface, the electric flux is equivalent to 0. So this is about second case for Gauss law, when the charge is situated outside the surface. So that Gauss law says the total normal electric flux through any closed surface is equivalent to 1 by epsilon naught times the net charge enclosed within that closed surface. So by these two cases we proved Gauss law statement. I hope you are following this Gauss law. Thank you in this session.